The Road Less Traveled by Morgan Scott Peck. Summary by Become Better. Part 1. Discipline. Life is difficult. This is a great truth, one of the greatest truths. It is also a truth that we often resist, but the sooner we accept it, the sooner we can move forward in dealing with life's inevitable challenges. Once we truly understand that life is difficult and embrace it, the burden becomes lighter because we no longer waste energy denying or avoiding this reality. It is through the framework of discipline that we learn to confront and overcome the difficulties life presents to us. Discipline is the set of tools we use to solve life's problems. It is through the pain of confronting and resolving problems that we grow and learn. Problems inspire courage and resilience, but they also bring discomfort, and many of us try to avoid this discomfort. When we do, we delay our growth and miss the opportunities that life's difficulties offer. The 4 essential tools of discipline: delaying gratification, accepting responsibility, dedication to truth, and balancing, are what allow us to manage pain and grow stronger in the process. Delaying gratification. The first tool, delaying gratification, is the ability to prioritize long-term benefits over immediate satisfaction. It is a discipline that separates mature individuals from those who remain trapped in childish patterns of instant gratification. As children, we naturally seek pleasure and avoid pain. But as we grow, we must learn to endure the pain of effort now to enjoy the rewards later. Consider a simple example. Studying for an exam. The pleasure of relaxation might call to us, but the discipline to study ensures future success. Without delaying gratification, we find ourselves stuck in cycles of immediate satisfaction that ultimately leave us unfulfilled. This skill must be taught early, for if a child does not learn it, they will struggle to acquire it as an adult. Parents play a crucial role in teaching this principle. When parents model discipline and teach their children to delay gratification through consistent structure and boundaries, they provide a framework for their children to grow. However, if children are overindulged or neglected, they may develop an inability to endure discomfort. This failure to delay gratification can manifest in poor decision-making, addiction, or avoidance of responsibility later in life. Accepting responsibility. The second tool of discipline is the acceptance of responsibility. To grow and solve life's problems, we must recognize that we are responsible for our actions, decisions, and the consequences they bring. It is tempting to blame others or external circumstances for our struggles, but this avoidance of responsibility keeps us stuck. Growth only occurs when we take ownership of our lives. This principle applies to all areas of life, from relationships to career choices. For example, if a relationship is failing, it is easy to point fingers at the other person's shortcomings. However, true growth comes from examining our own role in the situation and taking steps to change what we can. Accepting responsibility is not about self-blame, but about empowerment. It acknowledges that while we may not control everything that happens to us, we have the power to choose how we respond. Unfortunately, many people are taught to evade responsibility. Parents who shield their children from consequences or blame others for their own failures inadvertently teach their children to do the same. This avoidance leads to stagnation, as individuals refuse to confront the truth of their own agency. To live fully and authentically, we must embrace the reality that we are accountable for our lives. Dedication to truth. The third tool, dedication to truth, requires that we remain committed to reality at all costs. Truth is not always comfortable or convenient, but it is essential for solving life's problems. When we deceive ourselves or others, we construct a false reality that prevents us from making real progress. Dedication to truth begins with self-awareness. We must be willing to examine our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors honestly, even when what we find is unpleasant. Self-deception is a powerful force. It allows us to avoid confronting our flaws or the difficult decisions we must make. But when we distort reality to make ourselves more comfortable, we only create greater problems down the road. For example, imagine a person in financial trouble who refuses to look at their bank statements or acknowledge their spending habits. By avoiding the truth of their situation, they delay addressing the problem, which ultimately worsens. A commitment to truth would require them to face the reality of their finances, however painful it might be, and take the necessary steps to resolve the issue. Dedication to truth also applies to our relationships. Honest communication is the foundation of healthy connections with others. When we withhold the truth or engage in deceit, we erode trust and create barriers to intimacy. To be dedicated to truth is to value it above comfort, knowing that only by living in reality can we find genuine solutions to life's challenges. Balancing. The final tool of discipline is balancing. Life is full of competing demands, and discipline requires that we learn to balance them effectively. This involves setting boundaries, prioritizing, and sometimes making sacrifices to maintain equilibrium. Balancing is perhaps the most subtle of the tools, as it requires constant adjustment. Just as a tightrope walker must continually shift their weight to remain steady, we must adapt to the changing circumstances of our lives. Too much focus on one area, whether it be work, relationships, or personal ambitions, can lead to neglect in other areas. The discipline of balancing ensures that we allocate our time and energy wisely. One key aspect of balancing is the willingness to let go. Sometimes, we must sacrifice something we value to achieve a greater good. This might mean giving up a cherished habit that no longer serves us, or releasing a toxic relationship to create space for healthier ones. Balancing requires discernment and the courage to make difficult choices. At the same time, balancing involves self-care. Discipline does not mean pushing ourselves to the point of exhaustion. It means knowing when to rest, when to seek help, and when to say no. Without balance, even the most disciplined individual can burn out or become overwhelmed. The role of pain. Underlying all four tools is the willingness to embrace pain. Growth is inherently painful because it requires us to stretch beyond our comfort zones, confront our weaknesses, and face the uncertainties of life. Discipline teaches us not to fear pain, but to see it as a necessary part of the process. When we avoid pain, we stagnate. When we confront it, we transform. Pain is the price we pay for growth, and discipline is the means by which we endure that pain. Whether it is the discomfort of delayed gratification, the challenge of accepting responsibility, the honesty required by truth, or the sacrifices demanded by balancing, discipline equips us to face life's difficulties head-on. Conclusion. Discipline is not something we are born with. It is something we must cultivate. It is the foundation for solving life's problems and achieving personal growth. Without discipline, we flounder in the face of life's challenges, unable to navigate the pain they bring. But with discipline, we find the strength to confront our struggles, learn from them, and ultimately create a life of purpose and fulfillment. The tools of discipline, delaying gratification, accepting responsibility, dedication to truth, and balancing, are not easy to master. They require effort, practice, and sometimes painful self-examination. But as we use these tools, we grow stronger, more resilient, and more capable of navigating the difficulties of life. Discipline, in its essence, is the path to freedom. It allows us to move beyond our immediate desires and fears, enabling us to live with purpose, integrity, and grace. Part 2. Love. Love is often misunderstood. Many of us think of love as a feeling, a rush of emotion or an infatuation that overtakes us. But this view is incomplete and even misleading. Love is not merely a feeling, it is an action, a choice, and a commitment to growth. To truly love is to extend oneself for the purpose of nurturing one's own or another's spiritual growth. Love requires effort, discipline, and a willingness to step outside of ourselves. It is not always easy, but it is essential for a meaningful and fulfilling life. The definition of love. To understand love, we must first strip away the illusions that surround it. Many people mistake dependency for love. When we feel incomplete or empty and seek someone else to fill the void, we are not loving them, we are using them. Dependency is a form of need, and while it may feel like love, it is rooted in selfishness. True love, in contrast, is selfless. It is an act of will rather than a passive experience. It requires that we consciously choose to care for another person, to support their growth, and to invest in their well-being. Love is not always accompanied by feelings of affection or passion. There will be times when we do not feel like loving another person, whether due to anger, frustration, or fatigue. But love persists beyond these fleeting emotions. It is a commitment to act in ways that nurture the other person, even when it is difficult or inconvenient. Love and the self. It is impossible to truly love others if we do not first love ourselves. Self-love is not selfishness. It is the recognition of our inherent worth and the responsibility to care for our own growth. When we neglect ourselves, we drain the resources we need to give to others. Conversely, when we nurture our own spiritual and emotional well-being, we become capable of giving authentically. Self-love also involves self-discipline. To grow as individuals, we must confront our flaws, make difficult decisions, and take responsibility for our lives. This process is not easy, but it is essential for personal growth. Only when we are committed to our own growth can we extend that same commitment to others. Love and growth. The central purpose of love is to promote spiritual growth. To love someone is to support their journey toward becoming their best self. This often involves challenging them, encouraging them to confront their fears and limitations, and holding them accountable. Love is not about making another person comfortable. It is about helping them grow. This aspect of love can be painful. Growth is inherently uncomfortable, and when we love someone, we may need to push them to face difficult truths or take uncomfortable steps. For example, a parent who loves their child will set boundaries, enforce consequences, and encourage the child to develop independence. These actions may cause temporary discomfort, but they are essential for the child's long-term growth. At the same time, love requires that we respect the other person's autonomy. We cannot force someone to grow. We can only support and encourage them. Love is not about control or domination. It is about creating a space in which the other person feels safe to explore, learn, and evolve. The work of love. Love is work. It requires effort, energy, and intentionality. Many people believe that love should be effortless, that if it is real, it will come naturally. But this is a dangerous misconception. Real love demands that we extend ourselves, often in ways that are uncomfortable or inconvenient. For example, effective communication is a vital aspect of love, but it takes work. To communicate lovingly, we must listen actively, express ourselves honestly, and seek to understand the other person's perspective. This is not always easy, especially when emotions run high. But without effective communication, love cannot flourish. Similarly, love requires that we confront our fears and insecurities. Loving another person makes us vulnerable. It exposes us to the possibility of rejection, loss, or betrayal. But to protect ourselves from this vulnerability is to shut ourselves off from love. True love demands that we take risks, that we open ourselves to another person fully and authentically. The myths of romantic love. One of the greatest obstacles to understanding love is the myth of romantic love. Our culture glorifies the idea of being swept off our feet by a perfect partner who will fulfill all our needs and make us whole. This fantasy is not only unrealistic, but also harmful. It sets us up for disappointment and prevents us from building real, lasting relationships. Romantic love is often based on infatuation, a temporary state of intense passion and idealization. While infatuation can be exhilarating, it is not the same as love. Infatuation fades over time, and when it does, we are left with the reality of the other person's imperfections. True love begins where infatuation ends. It is grounded in a deep understanding of and commitment to the other person, flaws and all. The myth of romantic love also fosters dependency. When we believe that another person is responsible for our happiness, we place an impossible burden on them. True love recognizes that happiness comes from within, and that a healthy relationship is built on mutual support and shared growth, not on one person fulfilling the other's needs. Love and boundaries. While love requires that we extend ourselves, it also requires that we set boundaries. To love another person does not mean to sacrifice our own needs or well-being. In fact, healthy boundaries are essential for a loving relationship. They allow us to give freely without resentment and to receive without guilt. Boundaries also protect the integrity of the relationship. They ensure that each person remains an individual with their own thoughts, feelings, and goals. Without boundaries, love can become enmeshment, a loss of identity in which one person becomes overly dependent on the other. For example, a parent who truly loves their child will allow the child to make mistakes and learn from them rather than micromanaging their every decision. Similarly, in a romantic relationship, true love respects the other person's need for independence and personal growth. Love in practice. Love is not a grand gesture. It is a series of small daily acts of care and commitment. It is the effort we put into understanding our partner's needs, the patience we show in difficult moments, and the willingness to put their growth above our own comfort. Love is expressed in the way we show up for others, even when it is inconvenient or challenging. For example, love may mean sitting with a friend in their grief, even when we feel uncomfortable. It may mean having a difficult conversation with a partner rather than avoiding conflict. It may mean making sacrifices to support a child's education or well-being. These acts require effort and intentionality, but they are the essence of love. Conclusion: love is not easy, nor is it always pleasant. It demands that we extend ourselves, take risks, and embrace discomfort. It is a discipline that requires effort, commitment, and a willingness to grow. But despite its challenges, love is the most powerful force in our lives. It is what gives life meaning and connects us to one another in profound and transformative ways. True love is not about dependency, infatuation, or control. It is about growth, our own growth and the growth of those we love. It requires that we confront our fears, set boundaries, and dedicate ourselves to the work of nurturing another person's spirit. Love is not a feeling that happens to us. It is an action we choose every day. In choosing love, we choose growth. We choose to face life's challenges with courage and to embrace the fullness of our humanity. Love is the road less traveled, and while it is not always an easy path, it is the path that leads to fulfillment, connection, and true happiness. Part 3: Growth and Religion. Spiritual growth is an essential aspect of our journey toward wholeness and fulfillment. It is the process by which we evolve as human beings, deepening our understanding of ourselves, the world, and our connection to a greater reality. This process is not easy. It requires effort, self-examination, and a willingness to question long-held beliefs. In this part of the book, I explore the relationship between spiritual growth and religion, showing how both can serve as pathways to greater awareness and meaning. The nature of spiritual growth. Spiritual growth is about expanding our consciousness and confronting the limits of our understanding. It involves moving beyond the self-centered perspective of childhood and developing a broader, more compassionate view of life. This growth requires discipline, as well as the courage to face uncomfortable truths about ourselves and the world around us. One of the key aspects of spiritual growth is the willingness to let go of outdated beliefs and assumptions. Many of us cling to these beliefs because they provide a sense of security, but this security is often an illusion. True growth requires that we challenge our preconceptions, even when doing so feels unsettling. It is through this process of questioning and exploration that we open ourselves to new possibilities. Religion as a framework for growth, religion at its best provides a structure within which spiritual growth can occur. It offers moral guidance, rituals, and community support, all of which can help us navigate the challenges of life. However, religion is not an end in itself. It is a means to an end. Its ultimate purpose is to facilitate spiritual growth and connection to a higher truth. Unfortunately, religion often falls short of this ideal. Many religious institutions become rigid and dogmatic, emphasizing rules and conformity over personal growth. When this happens, religion can become a barrier rather than a pathway to spiritual development. It can trap people in fear and dependency, discouraging them from questioning or thinking for themselves. True religion, however, encourages exploration and self-discovery. It invites us to engage with life's mysteries and to seek a deeper understanding of the divine. This type of religion is not about blindly following rules. It is about cultivating a personal relationship with truth, however we define it. The role of mystery. Spiritual growth is inherently connected to mystery. As human beings, we are drawn to understanding the unknown, yet we must also accept that some aspects of existence are beyond our comprehension. This tension between seeking knowledge and embracing mystery is at the heart of the spiritual journey. Religion often serves as a way to engage with this mystery. Through symbols, rituals, and teachings, it helps us grapple with questions that have no easy answers. What is the purpose of life? What happens after death? How do we connect with something greater than ourselves? These questions are not meant to be resolved. They are meant to be explored. The willingness to live with uncertainty is a mark of spiritual maturity. At the same time, we must be cautious of simplistic answers that offer false comfort. Many people turn to religion not to grow, but to escape the discomfort of life's uncertainties. They seek doctrines that provide clear, absolute answers, even when these answers are incomplete or misleading. True spiritual growth requires that we resist this temptation and remain open to the complexity and mystery of life. Questioning and evolving beliefs. One of the most important aspects of spiritual growth is the willingness to question our beliefs. As children, we adopt the values and assumptions of our parents, teachers, and society. These beliefs serve us well in our early years, providing a framework for understanding the world. But as we mature, we must evaluate these beliefs critically, discarding those that no longer serve us and refining those that do. This process of questioning is not an act of rebellion, it is an act of growth. It requires humility, as well as the courage to face the discomfort of uncertainty. Many people resist this process because they fear losing the security that their beliefs provide. But clinging to outdated beliefs prevents us from growing and limits our potential. For example, a person raised in a strict religious tradition may find that some of the teachings they were taught no longer align with their experiences or values. To grow spiritually, they must be willing to examine these teachings, asking themselves whether they still hold true. This process may lead to a deeper, more personal understanding of faith, or it may lead to a new spiritual path altogether. The personal nature of spirituality. Spirituality is deeply personal. While religion provides a communal framework, each individual's journey is unique. No two people experience the divine in the same way, and no single set of beliefs can encompass the full range of human experience. This is why it is so important to approach spirituality with an open mind and a willingness to explore. For some, spirituality is grounded in religious tradition. For others, it is a more individualistic pursuit involving meditation, nature, or philosophical inquiry. What matters is not the form it takes, but the authenticity of the experience. True spirituality is not about adhering to a specific doctrine or practice. It is about seeking truth and growth in a way that resonates with one's own heart and mind. This personal nature of spirituality also means that it is a lifelong journey. Growth does not happen all at once. It unfolds gradually, often in response to life's challenges. Each difficulty we face is an opportunity for growth, inviting us to expand our understanding and deepen our connection to the divine. Grace as a force for growth in our spiritual journey, we are not alone. There is a mysterious force that supports and guides us, a force that I refer to as grace. Grace is not something we earn, it is a gift, an unmerited blessing that helps us grow and heal. It manifests in moments of insight, synchronicity, and transformation, reminding us that there is a greater power at work in our lives. Grace often appears when we least expect it, offering us the strength or clarity we need to face a challenge. For example, a person struggling with addiction may experience a moment of grace that inspires them to seek help and change their life. Similarly, a moment of profound insight may help someone resolve a long-standing inner conflict. While we cannot control grace, we can open ourselves to it. By living with humility, discipline, and a commitment to growth, we create the conditions in which grace can operate. It is not a substitute for effort, but a complement to it, providing the support we need to navigate the difficulties of life. Conclusion: spiritual growth is a journey of self-discovery, discipline, and connection to something greater than ourselves. It requires that we question our beliefs, embrace life's mysteries, and remain committed to truth and growth. Religion can be a valuable tool in this journey, but it must be approached with openness and humility. When religion becomes rigid or dogmatic, it hinders rather than facilitates growth. Ultimately, the spiritual journey is deeply personal. It is about seeking authenticity, embracing mystery, and living in alignment with our highest values. It is not an easy path, but it is the path that leads to fulfillment and meaning. Grace, as an unearned force for growth, supports us on this journey. It reminds us that we are not alone, and that there is a greater power guiding us. By remaining open to grace and committed to growth, we can navigate the challenges of life and move closer to our fullest potential. Spiritual growth is the road less traveled. It is a path of effort, discipline, and courage, but it is also a path of profound transformation. By choosing this path, we choose to live with purpose, connection, and a deep sense of meaning. Part 4. Grace. Grace is a mysterious and transformative force in our lives. It operates beyond our understanding, yet its presence is undeniable. It is grace that enables us to grow, heal, and navigate life's most difficult challenges. While we cannot control grace or fully comprehend it, we can open ourselves to its influence by living with discipline, love, and a commitment to spiritual growth. In this final section, I explore the nature of grace, its manifestations, and its role in guiding us along the path of personal and spiritual development. What is grace? Grace is a gift, an unearned and unmerited force that assists us in our growth and transformation. It is not something we create or deserve. Rather, it is something we receive. Grace operates independently of our efforts, yet it complements and enhances them. It is a mystery, a divine intervention that helps us overcome obstacles and move toward greater wholeness. Grace can take many forms. It might appear as a sudden insight that shifts our perspective, a chance encounter that changes the course of our lives, or an inexplicable sense of peace in the midst of turmoil. It often comes when we least expect it, surprising us with its timing and power. While we cannot predict or summon grace, we can recognize its presence and allow it to work in our lives. The role of grace in growth is inherently difficult. It requires discipline, effort, and a willingness to confront pain and uncertainty. Yet grace provides the support we need to undertake this journey. It acts as a bridge between our human limitations and our potential for transformation. Grace does not eliminate the challenges of growth, but it gives us the strength and clarity to face them. For example, a person struggling with deep-seated fears may experience a moment of grace that allows them to confront and overcome those fears. This experience does not negate the effort required to change, but it provides the spark that makes transformation possible. Grace enables us to see beyond our immediate struggles and recognize the deeper truths that guide our growth. At times, grace operates through others. A kind word, a gesture of support, or a piece of advice can serve as a channel for grace, helping us move forward in ways we could not achieve on our own. In this sense, grace connects us to one another, reminding us that we are not isolated individuals, but part of a larger, interconnected whole. The unseen hand of grace. One of the most remarkable aspects of grace is its ability to work behind the scenes, orchestrating events in ways we cannot fully understand. Life often appears chaotic and random, yet moments of grace reveal a deeper order and purpose. These moments remind us that we are part of something greater than ourselves, a reality that transcends our individual understanding. For instance, consider the phenomenon of synchronicity, meaningful coincidences that seem too perfect to be mere chance. These events often feel like the universe aligning to guide us toward a particular path or realization. While skeptics may dismiss them as random occurrences, those who experience them often sense the presence of grace at work. Grace also operates through moments of crisis. When we face hardship, we are often forced to confront aspects of ourselves and our lives that we would rather avoid. In these moments, grace can provide the insight or strength we need to persevere. It may not remove the pain of the crisis, but it gives the experience meaning and direction, transforming suffering into an opportunity for growth. Resistance to grace. Despite its transformative power, we often resist grace. This resistance stems from fear, pride, or a desire to maintain control over our lives. Grace challenges us to let go of our illusions of self-sufficiency and open ourselves to something greater. This can be a humbling and even frightening process, as it requires us to surrender our need for certainty and embrace the unknown. For example, someone who has built their identity around being independent and self-reliant may struggle to accept help or guidance, even when it is desperately needed. This resistance can block the flow of grace, preventing them from receiving the support that could help them grow. Similarly, we may resist grace because it often comes in unexpected or unwelcome forms. A painful experience, a difficult relationship, or a sudden loss can be a vehicle for grace, yet we may fail to recognize it as such. By clinging to our expectations of how life should be, we close ourselves off to the transformative power of what is. To receive grace, we must cultivate humility and openness. We must acknowledge our limitations and accept that we cannot control everything. This does not mean giving up on effort or discipline. Rather, it means complementing our efforts with a willingness to surrender to the larger forces at work in our lives. The connection between grace and spiritual growth. Spiritual growth is not a solitary endeavor. While it requires personal effort and discipline, it is also supported by grace. Grace is the force that lifts us beyond our human limitations, enabling us to achieve a level of growth that would be impossible on our own. This interplay between effort and grace is a recurring theme in spiritual traditions around the world. For example, in Christianity, grace is seen as a gift from God that enables believers to grow in faith and righteousness. In Buddhism, the concept of merit reflects the idea that personal effort creates the conditions for enlightenment, but ultimate realization depends on forces beyond the self. Grace also plays a role in helping us transcend our egos. Much of our suffering stems from the illusion of separateness, the belief that we are isolated individuals disconnected from the rest of existence. Grace helps us see through this illusion, awakening us to our interconnectedness with all life. This realization is a profound step in spiritual growth, as it shifts our focus from self-centered concerns to a broader perspective of love and compassion. Opening ourselves to grace. While we cannot control grace, we can create the conditions for it to enter our lives. This begins with cultivating an attitude of openness, humility, and gratitude. When we approach life with a sense of wonder and curiosity, we become more attuned to the presence of grace in our daily experiences. Practices such as meditation, prayer, or mindfulness can also help us open ourselves to grace. These practices quiet the mind and create space for us to connect with the deeper truths of existence. They remind us that we are not alone and that there is a source of strength and guidance available to us, even in our darkest moments. Perhaps most importantly, we must remain committed to growth. Grace is most likely to appear when we are actively engaged in the process of becoming our best selves. By confronting our fears, questioning our assumptions, and striving to live authentically, we invite grace into our lives and allow it to work its transformative power. The mystery of grace. Ultimately, grace is a mystery. It cannot be fully explained or understood, yet its impact is undeniable. It is the force that moves us toward wholeness, connecting us to something greater than ourselves and reminding us of the profound beauty and meaning of life. Grace is the final piece of the puzzle in the journey of personal and spiritual growth. While discipline, love, and self-awareness provide the tools we need to navigate life's challenges, grace provides the inspiration and support that make transformation possible. It is the unearned gift that helps us transcend our limitations and move closer to our fullest potential. Conclusion. Grace is the guiding hand that shapes our lives, often in ways we cannot see or understand. It operates beyond our efforts, yet it enhances and complements them, enabling us to grow, heal, and connect with the deeper truths of existence. By cultivating openness, humility, and a commitment to growth, we can invite grace into our lives and allow it to work its transformative power. Grace reminds us that we are not alone, that there is a greater force at work in our lives, guiding us toward wholeness and fulfillment. It challenges us to let go of our illusions of control and embrace the mystery of existence. And while we cannot predict or summon grace, we can trust in its presence and remain open to its gifts. Grace is the road less traveled. It is a path of wonder, humility, and transformation, leading us toward a life of deeper meaning and connection. By choosing this path, we align ourselves with the forces of growth and love that shape the universe, and we discover the profound beauty of living in harmony with grace. Thank you for listening. The road less traveled reminds us that growth isn't easy, but it's worth it. By embracing discipline, understanding the true nature of love, questioning our beliefs, and opening ourselves to grace, we can live more meaningful and fulfilling lives. The journey may be challenging, but it's on this less traveled path that we find purpose and transformation. If you found this summary helpful, give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who's ready to take their own road less traveled. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss more inspiring content. Thanks for listening, and see you in the next video.